You're sitting in a meeting. Someone is talking, words are moving across the room, nods happen, notes get taken. And before you have time to agree or disagree, before you decide whether this matters, something quieter is already happening. A person is slowly turning into a function. Not in a dramatic way, no one intends it. It feels normal, efficient, even. This video isn't for watching in pieces. It asks for a different kind of attention. The kind that notices what happens before meaning shows up. If you stay, nothing here will try to convince you of anything. But there may be a moment when something you've been standing on quietly gives way. And you realize you weren't seeing the whole room. You were seeing a system. Think about how often you hear phrases like target audience, user behavior, engagement. Not as buzzwords, just as background noise, the kind you stop noticing. When did that language become normal? Not in boardrooms only, but in everyday thought. At work, you're asked to manage expectations. In relationships, to set boundaries. Online, to build a personal brand. None of this sounds cruel, most of it sounds responsible, even mature. And it works, things move, decisions get made, results show up. But pause for a second. When you're listening to someone speak, what are you actually hearing? A person or a position? When someone disagrees with you, what registers first? Their presence or the inconvenience? This way of seeing feels practical. It keeps life organized. It keeps things from getting messy. And maybe that's why it's trusted, rewarded, passed along without question. Because it doesn't feel like a belief, it feels like reality itself. Still, there's a faint sense that something is missing, not broken, just thinned out. You can't quite name it, but you know the feeling. That recognition is enough for now. We don't need to rush past it. Have you noticed how little effort it takes to disappear from your own day? You wake up, check messages, step into work, respond, adjust, perform. Nothing goes wrong. In fact, things often go well. You're competent, reliable, needed. So what's the cost? Not burnout, not failure, something quieter. Think about a conversation where you were fully on, listening for cues, choosing words carefully, reading the room. Afterward, you're tired, not because it was hard, because you weren't exactly there. Or consider social media. You share something not to lie, just to be seen clearly, correctly, in context. And slowly you begin watching yourself as others might. It's subtle, socially rewarded, almost invisible. The cost isn't that you're controlled, it's that you're split. Part of you is doing, another part is monitoring. Nothing dramatic breaks, life keeps moving, but the sense of standing solidly in yourself thins out. Not gone, just harder to feel. And maybe that's why the unease is hard to explain. There's no obvious problem to fix, only a quiet question hovering in the background. Let's slow this down with something ordinary. You pick up a mug still warm, not hot enough to pull away, just warm. Before you think anything, your hands already know. Now ask yourself, where did that knowing come from? You could explain it, nerves, signals, memory. You've heard it all before. And none of it is wrong. But notice something, all of that comes after the contact, after the warmth is already there. The explanation arrives late. In daily life, we reverse this. We try to understand first, name it, frame it, decide what it means. We do this with work, with people, with ourselves. We say and move on. But getting it is not the same as touching it. There are moments when you're with someone and nothing is being evaluated. No role, no outcome, just presence. Those moments don't feel impressive. They feel simple, almost too simple to mention. And yet, they don't leave you tired. Hold that contrast gently, no need to solve it. Just notice which one feels more solid. Where do you feel steady? Not confident, not successful, steady. Is it when someone agrees with you, when your position is clear, when numbers line up, when authority backs you? Most of us learned early on to lean somewhere. on approval, on credentials, on influence, on what we own or control. It makes sense. That's how structure works. That's how things hold together. At work, a title settles the room. In society, a role explains you. In money, possession reassures. Nothing wrong with any of this. It keeps things predictable. But notice what happens when that support shifts. A reorg, a policy change, a market turn, a look that doesn't land the way it used to. Suddenly, the ground feels less firm, not because something terrible happened, because what you were standing on moved. Most people respond by adjusting, gaining more leverage, finding a new anchor, reasserting position. And life continues. Still, there are rare moments when none of that is available. No authority to lean on, no role to hide behind, no possession to steady you. And yet, you don't collapse. Something else is holding, quietly, without asking for proof. We won't name it yet. Just notice the difference between standing because something supports you and standing when nothing needs to. Have you noticed moments when you stop reaching? Not for answers, not for reassurance, just stop. It might happen while walking, or washing dishes, or staring out a window between tasks. Nothing resolves, nothing improves, and yet there's no problem. You're not waiting for feedback, not measuring yourself, not preparing a response. The body keeps moving, breathing continues, life doesn't pause. In those moments, you're not supported by anything in particular, no role, no plan, no image to maintain. And strangely, there's no sense of falling. If anything, there's a quiet ease, not excitement, not relief, just enough. The mind often rushes back in, labels it, moves on. But before that happens, there's a brief recognition that even without leaning, you are already standing. We don't need to capture it or repeat it, just notice that it's possible. And notice how little effort it took. At some point, the world may start to look different, not because anything changed, because you're no longer standing at a distance. People don't appear as categories first, situations don't ask to be managed immediately. There's a pause, small, almost unnoticeable. In that pause, nothing needs to be improved, nothing needs to be extracted, nothing needs to be proven. Just for a moment, life isn't something you operate, it's something you're inside of. Later, you'll return to decisions, to roles, to structures that make things work. But now, there's a chance to notice what comes before all of that. The next time you're in a room, before you name what's happening, before you decide what it means, see if you can feel the simple fact of being there, and let that be enough. What happens when you don't step away from it?